What are the worst used cars you can buy that are guaranteed to fail? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Help Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. I'm going to share 10 of the worst used vehicles you can buy that are so unreliable that a major failure within the first year is almost guaranteed. Many of these cars are deceiving because even though many look like good, cheap used cars to buy, the only reason they are often for sale is because they have so many problems or they are about to have a major failure. So let's get started with the first car in the number 10 spot, which is the Chevrolet Cruze. Now, the Cruze is a nicely designed compact car and it does have some appeal. There are plenty of them for sale for a very low attractive price. But if you buy one of these, chances are the only place you'll be cruising to is a repair shop. These are not very well made cars. The older ones typically experience major failures with their transmissions and turbo engines. At relatively low mileage, they can have timing chain problems, cooling system problems, oil consumption, and of course, turbocharger failure, all of which are very expensive to fix. So don't be deceived by the low prices. It will be a waste of money that will come back to bite you. The next car that falls into the same category is the next one in the number 9 spot, which is the Ford Focus. Again, these are nicely designed cars and very affordably priced ones that look tempting for a cheap used car. But don't be fooled because these things are a ticking time bomb. The biggest problem with them is the automatic transmission. From 2012 onward, the Focus used one of the worst transmissions in modern history, a dual clutch automated manual transmission, which was known for being very jerky, rough, and having a high failure rate. Many owners even replaced the clutches and transmissions multiple times under their ownership. These were a total disaster and should definitely be avoided. The next car in the number 8 spot is one that is thankfully becoming much harder to find on the used market, but for the unsuspecting buyer, it can still be a total disaster. And that car is the Dodge Dart. If you buy one of these, the only place you'll be darting to is the repair shop. The Dart is possibly one of the lowest quality, poorly made, poorly engineered cars of the last decade. A horrible blend of cheap Dodge parts mixed with Fiat drivetrains and other Fiat Alfa Romeo components. It's just a total repair nightmare waiting to happen. That is, if it's not already fallen apart, which at this point is thankfully very likely. And we're not done with Stellantis because the next vehicles that you should avoid in the number 7 spot are the Jeep Compass and Jeep Renegade. I'm putting these two together because both are mechanically very similar. Again, a blend of Jeep parts mixed with Fiat and Alfa Romeo components. These were low-cost vehicles made to the cheapest price point with the lowest quality parts and the poorest build quality. It is a miracle to have one of these working properly for any length of time. And if you buy one, get used to visiting the repair shop on a regular basis. The Compass is still being produced to this day and remains one of the worst SUVs on the market. Now, before we move on to other brands, there is one other cheap used Stellantis vehicle that should be avoided, and that vehicle is the Dodge Journey. Yes, these were cheap to buy new and offered a lot of car for the money. But again, the Journey was another example of a cheaply made, cost-cutting disaster. Now that they are older, buying one is a major risk with a long list of potential repair problems ranging from the engine, transmission, electrical problems, you name it. The only journey you'll be on with one of these is to the mechanic. So don't be fooled by the low attractive prices. In the long run, you will pay the price. Another very popular SUV that fits into this category is the one in the number 5 spot, which is the Ford Escape. Now, the first generation boxy Escapes made up till 2012 were actually decent vehicles, but that all changed for 2013 when Ford switched to their EcoBoost models. These newer Escapes used a 1.5, 1.6, or 2-liter turbocharged engine, which are a total repair nightmare. Repair concerns include oil and coolant leaks, coolant intrusion, timing chain problems, failing turbochargers, bad cam phasers, and transmission failure. If you buy one of these, the one place you definitely won't be able to escape is the repair shop. The next vehicles on the list that should be avoided, coming in the number 4 spot, come from General Motors. And these vehicles are the Chevrolet Equinox and GMC Terrain. Long-term build quality is not a GM strong suit, and these older GM crossovers were famous for a number of severe problems, primarily those with the 2.4-liter 4-cylinder and 3.6-liter V6 engines. Timing chain problems and heavy oil consumption were the biggest ones, serious enough to completely take out the engine. And finding a good used engine is really next to impossible. In fact, all of the older GM crossovers, including the Chevy Traverse, GMC Acadia, and others, suffer from these problems. So all should be avoided if you are shopping for a cheap used SUV. They are just not worth the repair nightmares. And now getting into our top 3 worst used vehicles that you should stay away from. In the number 3 spot, we have any Nissan with a CVT. The Jatco brand CVT, or continuously variable transmission, used in various Nissan models built over the past 2 decades, is without a doubt one of the worst transmissions in existence. Unless they have been over-maintained with frequent fluid changes, complete premature transmission failure is practically a given. And when it happens, be prepared for an enormous replacement cost, upwards of 7 to 8 grand. And good used ones are almost impossible to find, because almost every Nissan in the scrapyard is there because its transmission went toast. This has been a major problem for Nissan for 2 decades now, and still continues to be the case. So, if you buy one of these used with no proof of maintenance, you will be driving a potential ticking time bomb repair nightmare. Now, as bad as that is, the next vehicles we have on the list are without question much worse. At number 2, we have any Hyundai or Kia with a 2-liter or 2.4-liter 4-cylinder engine. I've covered these many times on this channel before, and I'll happily repeat it again and again. No other vehicles made in modern history were a bigger disaster than Hyundai and Kia with their 4-cylinder engine models, made from 2012 onward. Several million vehicles made within this decade have been recalled for severe engine problems, which would lead to total engine failure. And it can happen at almost any mileage, totally unexpected, with or without proper maintenance. It does not matter. Dealers and repair shops regularly replace dozens of these engines, often on a weekly basis. And like Nissan with their CVTs, good used engines are next to impossible to find because almost all of them have the same engine problems. Really, the only solution is a brand new engine or the scrapyard. These were incredibly poorly designed vehicles that cost their owners dearly and cost Hyundai and Kia their reputations. Never buy one of these vehicles used. They are not worth the potential headaches. Now, as bad as that is, there is another group of vehicles that can be even worse and much costlier to own. And rightfully so, in the number 1 spot, we have any used European brand vehicle that's out of warranty with 6-figure mileage. I know this is a major generalization, but hear me out. It really does not matter whether it's a Volkswagen, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, or something extremely bad like a Jaguar or Land Rover. At the end of the day, all of these vehicles sooner or later become horrible repair nightmares, far and above anything else you can buy. And the turning point when that typically happens is when they are all around 5 to 6 years old, just out of warranty, and hit 6-figure mileage. It is at this point where most of these vehicles start experiencing problem after problem after problem. Anything you can imagine can and most likely will go wrong. From minor electrical issues to severe engine problems, and the cost of repairing them is so outrageous and incredibly high to the point where the repairs can quickly add up to the price paid for the whole vehicle. Buying these vehicles is no joke, and the horrible reliability and outrageous repair costs will quickly sour the ownership experience, leaving you with nothing but an empty bank account and major buyer's remorse. So there you have it. Now, if you've owned any of these vehicles, what has your ownership experience been like? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to know what are the best and most reliable cheap used cars that you can buy, I'll put a link to that video up in the corner. Now, if you liked and enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you live in Ontario and are planning to purchase a vehicle, know that OMVIC is the sales regulator that administers and enforces the rules that dealerships must follow. To learn more about your consumer protection rights, just visit omvic.ca. And if you need any additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to visit carhelpcan.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.